The slap echoed through the crystal chandeliers like a gunshot. 300 guests went silent. My daughter's scream cut through the air. I tasted copper in my mouth as I stumbled backward, my hand catching the edge of a reception table to keep from hitting the floor. The wedding cake, 3 tiers of ivory fondant that cost more than my first truck, swayed dangerously beside me. Derek stood there, chest heaving, his hand still raised. My son-in-law of exactly 47 minutes. The man who just vowed to love and cherish my daughter before God and everyone we knew. I said, "Give me the damn keys, old man." The room started spinning, but not from the hit. It was the faces. Hundreds of them. Some shocked, some pretending they hadn't seen. My daughter, Emily, frozen in her white dress, mascara already running. My ex-wife, Martha, covering her mouth. Derek's parents looking away like they'd suddenly found the floral arrangements fascinating. Nobody moved to help me. That's when something inside me cracked clean through. I pulled my phone from my jacket pocket with shaking hands. Scrolled to a number I'd hoped I'd never have to use. Not like this. Not at my baby girl's wedding. But Derek had made his choice the second his palm connected with my face. I hit dial. Derek's eyes narrowed. "Who the hell are you calling?" I didn't answer. Just held his stare while the phone rang once. Twice. Then a voice I knew well answered on the third ring. Derek's face went from red to white in about 2 seconds flat. He lunged for my phone, but I was already walking toward the exit, my dress shoes clicking on the marble floor of the country club ballroom. "Wait." Derek's voice cracked. "Wait, you can't." But I was already gone. What happens when the person you humiliate in front of everyone turns out to be the one person you should have never crossed? Drop your answer in the comments below. Hi, viewers. Kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family. Enjoy the story. Let me back up 6 months because none of this makes sense without understanding what I'd built and what Derek thought he could take. My name's Robert Hayes. I'm 54 years old. I've got calluses on my hands at V, been there since I was 14, a mortgage that's been paid off for 3 years, and 320 acres of prime Kansas farmland that's been in my family since 1947. My grandfather cleared that land with a mule and a plow. My father expanded it, modernized it, turned it into something that could actually support a family. I took it further. People see a farmer and think simple. They think overalls and hay and not much going on upstairs. That's fine. I learned a long time ago that being underestimated is sometimes the best advantage you can have. The farm isn't just dirt and crops. There's a main house, a 4-bedroom colonial I rebuilt myself after the fire of '03. There's the original barn, now converted into an equipment storage facility, worth about $500,000 in machinery alone. There's 2 grain silos, an irrigation system I designed with an engineer buddy that cut water costs by 30%, and about 40 acres of prime real estate along Highway 50 that developers have been circling like vultures for the better part of a decade. Conservative estimate? The whole operation's worth somewhere between $4 and $5 million. My daughter, Emily, grew up on that land. Learned to drive on the dirt roads between the wheat fields. Had her first kiss behind the old barn. Every important moment of her childhood happened on that property. I thought she loved it like I did. I was wrong. Emily left for college in Kansas City when she was 18 and came back different. Not bad different, just distant. She got a job at a marketing firm. Started wearing clothes that cost more than my monthly grain bill. Stopped coming home for Sunday dinners unless I practically begged. Then about 2 years ago, she brought Derek home for Thanksgiving. Derek Winters, 29 years old, investment analyst at some firm downtown. Wore suits that probably cost more than most people's car payments and talk about portfolio diversification and market positioning like he was the smartest guy in every room. He shook my hand too hard. Called me sir too often. Complimented everything just a little too much. I didn't like him immediately, but I'm a father. I smiled. I asked him about his work. I tried. Over Christmas dinner, he started asking questions about the farm. Casual at first. How many acres? What we grew. What the land was worth. I answered because I figured he was just making conversation, trying to connect with his girlfriend's family. By Easter, the questions got more specific. Had I ever thought about selling? What would I do with the money? Did I have a succession plan? Had I talked to any developers? That's when I started paying attention. I pulled Emily aside one evening after Derek had gone back to the city. We were standing on the front porch, the sun setting over the west fields, painting everything gold. "You serious about this guy?" I asked. She smiled in that way daughters smile when they're in love and think their fathers are being paranoid. "Dad, he's wonderful. He's ambitious. He's got plans." "Plans for what?" "For us. For our future." She squeezed my arm. "You'd like him if you gave him a chance." "I'm trying, sweetheart. I really am." But something in my gut kept twisting every time Derek smiled at me with those two white teeth. 3 months later, Emily called to tell me they were engaged. I said congratulations. I meant it. If she loved him, I'd find a way to support it. That's what fathers do. The wedding planning took over our lives. Emily wanted everything perfect. The country club, the jazz band, the ice sculpture. Martha flew in from Arizona, where she moved after our divorce 12 years ago. We managed to be civil for Emily's sake. Derek's parents were interesting. His father, Charles, was attorney. His mother, Patricia, did something with interior design for rich people's vacation homes. They looked at my farm clothes and work boots like I was something they'd scraped off their shoe. At the rehearsal dinner, Charles pulled me aside. "Robert, I hope you know how lucky Emily is. Derek's going places. He'll take good care of her." "Robert." He put his hand on my shoulder. Squeezed too hard. "We need to talk. Man to man." "All right. About the farm." My stomach dropped. "Derek, this is your wedding reception. Let's talk about this another time." "No, I think we should talk now." His voice got louder. People started noticing. Emily and I have been discussing it. We want to start fresh. New life, new plans. "That's great. I'm happy for you both. We're going to need capital." He was smiling, but his eyes were hard. "Significant capital. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to sign over the farm to Emily. It's her inheritance anyway, right? Might as well do it now while you can enjoy seeing her benefit from it." The music seemed to fade. I was suddenly very aware of how many people were watching us. "Derek, let's step outside and discuss this privately." "Why?" He spread his arms wide. "These are our friends. Our family. Nothing to hide, right?" He raised his voice even more. "I'm just asking my father-in-law to do the right thing, to give his daughter what she deserves, what she's owed, unless—" His face twisted into something ugly. "Unless you're one of those old guys who can't stand to let go of control. Is that it? You're going to be one of those fathers." Emily appeared at his elbow. "Derek, honey, let's not." "Stay out of this, Em. Your dad and I are having a conversation." He turned back to me. "So what's it going to be, Robert? You going to hand over those keys? Or are we going to have a problem?" My hands were shaking. 300 pairs of eyes on us. The band had stopped playing. "Derek, the farm is my property. I've made arrangements." "Arrangements?" He laughed, but it was mean. "What kind of arrangements? You leaving it to a dog shelter? To charity? That land is Emily's birthright. I understand you're passionate about this, but nothing." He stepped closer. "Give me the keys. Now." "No." The word hung in the air between us. His face went red. "What did you just say to me?" I said no. This isn't the time or place. When Emily and I... That's when he hit me. The slap came so fast I barely registered it before pain exploded across my face. The room tilted. Someone screamed. The edge of the table saved me from falling completely, but my hip cracked against it hard enough to send shooting pain down my leg. When I looked up, Derek was standing over me, breathing hard, his hands still clenched. "You don't tell me no. Old man. Not about this. Not about what's mine." And that's when I knew he'd been planning this. Maybe not the violence, but the takeover, the humiliation, the public pressure. He'd probably convince himself I'd fold in front of everyone rather than cause a scene at Emily's wedding. He'd miscalculated. I reached for my phone. "What are you doing?" Derek's voice had an edge of panic now. I found the contact. "Hit dial. Put that away. Robert, I'm warning you." The phone rang once. Derek lunged forward. "Who are you calling?" "Twice. I swear to God, if you—" 3 times. Then a voice answered, professional and crisp. "Hayes, this is unexpected. Everything all right?" "No," I said, keeping my eyes on Derek. "It's not. We need to proceed with the paperwork. Tonight." Derek's face went from red to gray. "Wait. No, you can't." "Already done," I said quietly. "It was done 3 weeks ago. I just hadn't filed it yet." "What paperwork?" He was shaking now. "What did you do?" I ended the call, straightened my jacket, looked at my daughter, who was crying, her white dress crumpled in her fists. "I'm sorry, baby girl," I said. "I really am." Then I walked out of my daughter's wedding reception with everyone staring at my back, the sound of Derek screaming my name echoing off the walls. What I did next changed everything. But here's what Derek didn't know, what nobody except my lawyer and one other person knew. That phone call? It wasn't just about filing papers. It was about pulling a trigger I'd set months ago, the moment I realized what Derek really wanted. And when he saw who walked through those country club doors 30 minutes later, he went absolutely hysterical. I sat in my truck in the parking lot, engine running, AC blasting against the June heat. My face throbbed where Derek had hit me. I could see the bruise forming in the rear-view mirror, dark purple spreading across my cheekbone. In 20 minutes, it'd look even worse. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I'd just walked out of my daughter's wedding, left her crying in her white dress, left 300 guests staring and whispering, left a mess that would take years to clean up, if it ever could be cleaned up at all. But I'd be damned if I let that man take what 4 generations of Hayes men had built. My phone buzzed. Text from Jim. "Where are you? Emily's asking for you. It's chaos in here." I typed back. "Tell her I'm sorry. Tell her I love her. But I can't come back in there right now." Another buzz. This time from a number I didn't recognize. "Mr. Hayes, this is Patricia Winters. I think there's been a terrible misunderstanding. Derek is very sorry. Perhaps we could all sit down and talk this through like adults?" I deleted it without responding. A third buzz. "Martha, what the hell did you do? Emily is hysterical. Derek's parents are threatening to call the police. You need to fix this now." I turned my phone face down on the passenger seat and closed my eyes. The call I'd made wasn't to my lawyer, though everyone would assume that's who it was. Richard Brennan had been handling my legal affairs for 15 years. Good man. Understood the value of keeping your mouth shut and your paperwork tight. But the voice on that phone call belonged to someone else entirely. 3 weeks ago, I'd sat in a coffee shop in downtown Kansas City with a man named Thomas Chun, mid-40s, sharp suit, sharper eyes. He ran a private investigation firm that specialized in what he called discretionary inquiries. Translated, he dug up dirt on people for clients who needed to know exactly who they were dealing with. I'd hired him to look into Derek Winters. "Give me 3 weeks," Thomas had said, stirring sugar into his coffee. "If this guy's got skeletons, I'll find them. If he's clean, I'll tell you that too. But Mr. Hayes..." He looked at me seriously. "You should know that people who push this hard for someone else's assets usually have a reason, and it's rarely a good one." The report had arrived in an unmarked envelope 2 days before the wedding. I'd read it alone in my office, the one I'd built off the side of the barn where I did the farm's bookwork. Read it twice to make sure I understood what I was seeing. Derek Winters wasn't an investment analyst. Well, he was, but he'd been fired from his position at Goldman Sachs 8 months ago for falsifying client reports. The firm had settled quietly to avoid scandal, but Derek's name was mud in financial circles. He'd been living off credit cards and his parents' money ever since, trying to maintain the appearance of success while drowning in debt. He owed $140,000 in personal loans, another $60,000 on credit cards. His apartment in the city was 2 months behind on rent. The BMW he drove was leased and about to be repossessed. The report included photographs. Derek at a casino in Council Bluffs. Derek meeting with what the report labeled as known loan facilitators. Fancy words for loan sharks. Derek's bank statements showing deposits that didn't match any legitimate source of income. But the worst part, the part that made my blood run cold, was the email chain Thomas had somehow accessed. Emails between Derek and someone named Marcus discussing the old man's property and liquidation strategies and timeline for conversion. They'd been planning this for months. Derek wasn't marrying Emily because he loved her, though maybe he did in his own way. He was marrying her because he saw her as a key to a vault. My vault, my land, my family's legacy. And he calculated that if he played it right, if he got me to sign over property before the wedding or shortly after, he could sell it off before anyone realized what was happening. Pay his debts. Start fresh. Maybe even convince Emily it was for their future. I'd shown the report to Richard Brennan the next day. Jesus Christ, Richard had said, flipping through the pages, "Does Emily know any of this?" "I don't think so." "You gonna tell her?" I thought about that. Thought about sitting Emily down. Show her the proof. Watching her world crumble right before her wedding. "I can't," I said finally. "If I tell her now, she'll think I'm trying to sabotage her happiness. She'll choose him anyway out of spite or stubbornness, or because she's already sent out 300 invitations. She'll hate me for it." Richard had nodded slowly. "So what do you want to do?" "I want protection. Legal protection. I want the farm secured in a way that Derek can never touch it, no matter what happens. And I'd paused, trying to find the right words. I want a trigger. Something I can pull if he shows his true colors." That's when Richard had drawn up the papers. A irrevocable trust with Emily as the sole beneficiary, but with conditions. She couldn't access it until she was 35, or until certain circumstances were met. The farm couldn't be sold without approval from a 3-person board of trustees, me, Richard, and my brother Jim. Any attempt to circumvent the trust would result in the entire property being transferred to a conservation foundation I'd selected. Derek would get nothing, ever. And if anyone tried to contest it, Richard had included provisions that would trigger an immediate full financial investigation of all parties involved. Given what was in Thomas Chen's report, Derek wouldn't survive that kind of scrutiny. The paperwork was ready to file. I'd been holding it, hoping I was wrong about Derek, hoping he'd prove me paranoid. Then tonight happened. The slap heard round the country club, and I'd made the call, not to Richard, though I'd call him next. That first call had been to Thomas Chun, telling him to deliver the full investigative report to Derek's parents, to Martha, to Jim, and to Emily herself. Every piece of evidence, every photograph, every email, everything. If Derek wanted to make this a public spectacle, then everyone would see exactly who he really was. A knock on my truck window made me jump. Jim stood there, looking worried and angry in equal measure. I rolled down the window. "You gonna tell me what the hell just happened?" he asked. "Get in." He walked around, climbed into the passenger seat, picked up my phone, set it in the cup holder, and waited. I told him everything. The investigation, the report, the debts, the emails, the trust, all of it. Jim listened without interrupting, his face getting harder with each detail. When I finished, he sat back and let out a long breath. "That son of a bitch." "Yeah. Does Emily know?" "She will in about..." I checked my watch. 10 minutes. Thomas is delivering the packets now. She's going to be destroyed. "I know." My voice cracked. "Jim, I know. But what else could I do? Let him take everything? Let him manipulate her into signing away her inheritance, and then disappear when the money ran out?" "No, you did the right thing." He put a hand on my shoulder. "It's going to hurt like hell, but you did right." We sat there in silence for a minute. Through the country club windows, I could see people moving around. The party was clearly over, even if it was supposed to go until midnight. "There's something else," Jim said quietly. "What?" "Derek's parents. They're in there right now telling everyone you assaulted him, that you came at him and he was defending himself. Patricia's crying, saying you've always been unstable, that the divorce proved it. Charles is talking about pressing charges. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Of course they are. They're protecting their investment, Jim said. They probably know about his debts. This was their plan too, trying to get him married into money. Well, it failed. Yeah, but they're going to make it ugly. They're already poisoning people against you. My phone buzzed again. This time I picked it up. Text from Richard. Paperwork is filed. Trust is active. Property is secured. I'm at the courthouse now, making sure everything is locked down tight. Nobody's touching that land, Robert. Nobody. Relief flooded through me. So strong I felt dizzy. It's done, I said. The farm's protected. Jim nodded. Good. Now what? Before I could answer, there was a commotion at the country club entrance. The doors flew open and Emily came running out, still in her wedding dress, mascara streaked down her face. Martha was behind her, trying to keep up in her heels. Derek was next, his jacket off, his face red and furious. Emily was holding something, a manila envelope. She'd gotten the report. I opened my truck door. Stay here, Jim said. She's my daughter, and she's in shock. Let her come to you. But Emily wasn't coming to me. She was marching straight toward Derek, who'd stopped halfway down the entrance steps. You lied to me, she screamed. The parking lot acoustics carried her voice clearly. You lied about everything. Baby, let me explain. Explain what? That you've been fired? That you're drowning in debt? That you've been planning to steal my father's land? She threw the envelope at him. Paper scattered across the concrete. That you don't actually love me, you just love what you thought you could get from me? Derek's face went through several expressions. Shock, anger, calculation. He settled on injured innocence. Emily, you're being emotional. Your father has poisoned you against me with lies, and these are bank statements. She was shaking. These are emails with your name on them. These are photographs of you at a casino when you told me you were at a work conference. Patricia rushed forward. Emily, dear, you have to understand. Derek made some mistakes, yes, but he loves you. He's just been under a lot of pressure. Pressure? Emily spun on her. He slapped my father, in front of everyone, at our wedding. Your father provoked him, Charles said, joining the group. His attorney voice was smooth and reasonable. Robert has been undermining this marriage from the beginning. He hired investigators to dig up dirt on Derek. He's been planning to sabotage this wedding. My father was protecting me. Emily's voice broke. He was trying to protect me from a con artist, and I wouldn't listen. Derek's mask slipped. The charming guy disappeared, replaced by something colder. You know what, Emily? Fine. You want the truth? Yeah, I needed money. Yeah, I made some bad choices. But I was going to fix everything. That farm is just sitting there, worth millions, and your father's too stubborn and too stupid to see its potential. I was going to sell it, pay off my debts, and invest the rest. We would have been set for life. It's not yours to sell. It should be. You're his daughter. It's your inheritance. An inheritance I get when I'm ready for it, not when you need it to pay off loan sharks. The crowd from the country club had gathered at the entrance now, watching the show. Everyone heard everything. Derek seemed to realize he'd gone too far. His face shifted again back to desperate. Baby, please. Let's go inside. Let's talk about this privately. We can work this out. I love you. I made mistakes, but I love you. We just got married. We took vows. Emily looked at him for a long moment. I could see the war happening inside her. The girl who'd loved this man fighting with the woman who now saw him clearly. The vows said for better or worse, she said quietly. They didn't say anything about criminal fraud and assault. She pulled off her engagement ring and wedding band, held them out. Derek stared at the rings like they were snakes. Emily, don't do this. Don't make a decision you can't take back. I already did. When I married you. She dropped the rings on the concrete. They clinked and rolled. Consider that decision unmade. Then she turned and walked toward my truck. I got out, met her halfway. She collapsed into my arms, sobbing, her wedding dress crumpling against my work jacket. "I'm sorry," she kept saying. "Daddy, I'm so sorry. I should have listened. I should have known. I'm so sorry." "Sure. It's okay. You're okay. I've got you." Behind us, Derek picked up the rings, stared at them, then at me. The hatred in his eyes was pure and undiluted. "This isn't over," he said. "Yeah," I replied, still holding my daughter. "It is." That's when the police cars pulled into the parking lot, lights flashing. Thomas Chun had included one more thing in his report. Evidence that some of Derek's loans had come from an organized crime syndicate in Kansas City. The kind of people who didn't appreciate having attention drawn to their operations. I hadn't requested that information be shared with anyone except the FBI, but apparently someone had. Derek saw the badges and ran. He didn't get far. They caught Derek before he made it to the parking lot exit. 2 agents tackled him near the rose bushes, his white dress shirt tearing as they brought him down. Patricia screamed. Charles started yelling about lawyers and rights and unlawful arrest. Nobody was listening. Emily pulled away from me, watching the scene with wide eyes. "What's happening?" "Federal investigation," I said quietly. "Derek's involved with some dangerous people. People who don't like loose ends." Martha appeared at my other elbow, her face pale. "Robert, did you know about this?" "I found out 3 weeks ago." "And you didn't say anything? You let the wedding happen anyway." I turned to look at her. Would Emily have believed me if I'd told her before? Would you have believed me? Or would everyone have said I was a bitter old man trying to ruin his daughter's happiness? She didn't answer because we both knew the truth. Jim materialized with a blanket from his truck. Emily was shivering despite the warm evening. He draped it around her shoulders while we watched FBI agents read Derek's rights. Something about wire fraud, money laundering, conspiracy. The words felt unreal, like we were watching a TV show instead of my daughter's destroyed wedding. "Mr. Hayes?" A woman in a dark suit approached, badge clipped to her belt. "I'm Special Agent Morrison. I need to ask you a few questions." "All right. You hired a private investigator to look into Derek Winters?" "I did." "And you received a report detailing his financial crimes?" "Yes." "Why didn't you contact law enforcement immediately?" I glanced at Emily, still crying silently. "Because I'm a father first. I wanted to give my daughter a chance to see the truth herself. But I made sure the information would reach the right people if Derek showed his true colors." Agent Morrison studied me for a moment. "Thomas Chin sent us his full report 2 hours ago. Said you authorized it." "I didn't authorize anything specific. I told him to do what was right." She almost smiled. "Well, what's right is that Derek Winters is going away for a long time. His associates aren't happy that he drew federal attention. They've been cooperating to save their own skins. Your son-in-law is looking at 15 to 20 years. Ex-son-in-law, I thought, but didn't say." "What about Emily?" I asked. "Is she in any trouble?" "No. All evidence suggests she had no knowledge of his activities. But she'll need to be interviewed tomorrow. Make sure she has a lawyer present." "She will." Agent Morrison handed me a business card. "Call me if you think of anything else. And Mr. Hayes, you might want to consider better security for your property. People Winters was involved with, they don't always accept losses gracefully." That sent a chill down my spine, but I nodded. The agents loaded Derek into an unmarked car. He was still yelling, his voice hoarse. Something about how this was all my fault, how I destroyed his life, how he'd get revenge. Charles and Patricia were arguing with another agent about bail and phone calls and due process. The agent looked bored and unmoved. The crowd from the country club had dispersed somewhat, but clusters of guests remained, watching and whispering. I could see phones out, recording. This would be all over social media within the hour. Emily's perfect wedding. Destroyed. "Let's get you out of here," I said to her. She nodded numbly. Martha stepped forward. "She can come to my hotel. I'll take care of her tonight." "No." Emily's voice was small but firm. "I want to go home. To the farm." "Martha," and I exchanged glances. Sweetie, your apartment in the city? Martha started. Is Derek's apartment. Everything there is. I can't go there. Please, Daddy. Can I come home? My throat got tight. Of course you can. Always. Jim drove Emily in his truck while I followed in mine. Martha said she'd pack up Emily's things from the bridal suite and bring them tomorrow. The ride was quiet except for the sound of tires on asphalt and Emily's occasional sniffling from Jim's passenger seat ahead of me. The farm looked peaceful under the three-quarter moon. The house lights were on. I'd left them that way before heading to the wedding this morning, which felt like a lifetime ago now. The field stretched out dark and calm on either side of the long driveway. Home. I'd almost lost this. Almost let Derek scheme his way into owning it, selling it, erasing 4 generations of Hayes history for a quick payout to cover his gambling debts. Emily got out of Jim's truck slowly, the blanket still wrapped around her shoulders, her wedding dress filthy at the hem from the parking lot. She looked up at the house like she was seeing it for the first time. I grew up here, she said softly. You did. I learned to ride a bike on that driveway. Dad, you ran alongside me for 3 hours until I got it right. Your mother said I was being ridiculous, that you'd learn when you were ready. I wanted to make you proud. You did. You do. Always. She turned to me, tears streaming again. I'm so sorry. For not listening. For bringing him here. For... Stop. I pulled her into a hug. You got fooled by a professional con artist. That's not your fault. And you did the right thing when you saw the truth. That takes courage. Jim cleared his throat. I'm going to head out. Let you two talk. Emily, I'm glad you're okay. If you need anything at all, you call me. Thanks, Uncle Jim. After he left, I took Emily inside. The house was too quiet. I'd gotten used to living alone after the divorce, but having my daughter here, broken and hurting, made the silence feel heavy. You hungry? I asked. I could make something. No, just tired. Your room's exactly how you left it. Fresh sheets, though. I change them every month just in case. She almost smiled at that. Dad, I haven't lived here in 6 years. I know, but it's still your room. She went upstairs while I locked up the house and checked the security system. Agent Morrison's warning about Derek's associates was rattling around in my head. Tomorrow I'd call about upgrading the cameras. Maybe hire someone to patrol the property for a while. My phone had 37 missed calls and too many texts to count. I ignored them all except one from Richard. Call me when you can. Need to discuss next steps. I sent back. Tomorrow. Emily's home. She's safe. That's all that matters tonight. His response was immediate. Good. Get some rest. Tomorrow's going to be rough. I climbed the stairs to check on Emily. Her door was cracked open. She was standing at her window in an old Kansas State t-shirt and sweatpants she must have found in her dresser, looking out at the fields. I forgot how quiet it is here, she said without turning around. City's louder. Everything's louder. She paused. I thought I wanted loud. Thought quiet was boring. Thought the farm was... She trailed off. You can say it. I thought it was beneath me. Her voice broke. I thought you were just some farmer who didn't understand the real world, who didn't get ambition or success or what I wanted out of life. Emily. And Derek played right into that. He made me feel sophisticated, like I was part of something bigger than wheat fields and county fairs. He'd take me to fancy restaurants and introduce me to important people, and I felt special. I felt like I'd escaped. She turned to face me, and the pain in her eyes was worse than any physical injury Derek could have inflicted. But the whole time he just wanted this, the quiet, the land, the thing I was running from. She laughed bitterly. The thing that was actually real, while everything with him was fake. I didn't know what to say to that, so I just stood there. How did you know? She asked. How did you see through him when I couldn't? I'm older. I've seen more. And... I hesitated. Your mother and I got married for the wrong reasons, too. I learned to recognize the signs. You love Mom, though. I did. I do, in a way. But we wanted different things. She wanted excitement and change. I wanted stability and roots. Neither of us was wrong, but we weren't right together. Derek, though, I shook my head. Derek didn't want you at all. He wanted what you represented. That's different. That's worse. Emily crumpled onto her bed, pulling her knees to her chest. What do I do now? Everyone saw. Everyone knows. My wedding is viral disaster footage. I've probably lost my job because Derek's firm handles some of our clients. And now there's a federal investigation. My friends, she sobbed, half of them are his friends. People he introduced me to. Were any of them even real? I sat down beside her. I don't know, sweetheart, but the ones worth keeping will reach out. The ones who disappear weren't your real friends anyway. That's not comforting. It's honest. She leaned against my shoulder like she used to when she was little and had a bad day at school. I was so mean to you these past 2 years. Every time you questioned Derek, every time you suggested slowing down, I acted like you were the problem, like you were jealous or controlling or stuck in the past. You were in love, or you thought you were. People do stupid things when their heart's involved. I told you that you didn't understand modern relationships, that your generation didn't get it. She laughed wetly. Turns out modern relationships include wire fraud and organized crime. Despite everything, I smiled. Not all of them, I hope. We sat there for a while, the grandfather clock in the hall ticking away the minutes. Outside, a coyote called in the distance. The sound used to scare Emily when she was young. Now it seemed to comfort her. Dad. Yeah. Thank you. For protecting me even when I hated you for it. For not giving up on me even when I gave up on this place. She gestured around the room. For keeping my room ready even though I never came home. For... Her voice cracked again. For being the one real thing in my life. I had to clear my throat twice before I could speak. You're my daughter. There's nothing I wouldn't do for you. Nothing. I know that now. She fell asleep like that, leaning against me, exhausted from the worst day of her life. I stayed until I was sure she was deep under, then carefully laid her down and pulled the quilt over her. The same quilt my mother had made for this bed 30 years ago. Downstairs, I finally let myself pour whiskey, sat at the kitchen table in the dark, my face still throbbing from Derek's slap, my body aching from tension I'd been holding all day. My phone buzzed. Text from a number not in my contacts. You made a powerful enemy today. Watch your back. I stared at it for a long moment, then forwarded it to Agent Morrison. Her response came within minutes. Screenshot that. Don't respond. We're tracking known associates. You're flagged in our system as a protected witness. Protected witness. When had my life become something that needed those words? Another text, this one from Thomas Chun. Saw the news coverage. Hell of a way to end a wedding. My invoice is in the mail, but for what it's worth, I'm glad the kid's okay. I typed back. She will be, eventually, thanks for everything. Just doing my job. But Hayes, get better locks. And maybe a dog. Big one. Everyone seemed real concerned about my security all of a sudden. I checked the doors again. Set the alarm. Made sure every window was latched. The farm had never felt dangerous before. It was home. Safe. Predictable. But Derek had brought something toxic here. Some darkness from his world of debts and lies and dangerous people. And even though he was in federal custody, I had a feeling the darkness hadn't left with him. I was right. At 2 a.m, motion sensors around the barn triggered. I woke to the alarm system beeping, the panel showing activity near the equipment storage. I grabbed my shotgun from the hall closet and called 911 as I moved toward the kitchen window that faced the barn. The dispatcher answered on the second ring. Someone's on my property, I said quietly. Near the barn. I have a daughter in the house. We've been threatened. Units are on the way. Stay inside, sir. Don't engage. But I could see flashlights moving around the barn. 2 of them, maybe 3. They weren't even trying to be subtle. A crash echoed across the property, breaking glass. They were destroying my equipment. I heard Emily's door open upstairs. Dad, stay in your room. Lock the door. What's happening? Do what I said. Now. The sound of sirens in the distance. Still too far away. The flashlights near the barn scattered, moving toward the backfields where vehicles could access via the old service road. By the time the sheriff's deputies arrived, the intruders were gone, but they'd left their message. Every piece of equipment in the barn had been vandalized. Tractors with slashed tires and smashed windshields. The irrigation system control panel torn apart. Thousands of dollars in damage. And spray painted across the barn wall in red letters 3 feet high. You'll pay. Deputy Carson surveyed the damage with a grim expression. This is retaliation. Connected to the federal case? Has to be. You need to take this seriously, Mr. Hayes. These people don't make empty threats. I am taking it seriously. Emily appeared in the barn doorway, pale and shaking. She saw the graffiti and the destruction, and her hand went to her mouth. This is my fault, she whispered. No, I went to her. This is Derek's fault, and the people he chose to do business with, not yours. Deputy Carson was on his radio, calling for forensics and additional units. Mr. Hayes, you and your daughter need to consider staying somewhere else until we sort this out. Maybe a hotel in town. I'm not leaving my property. Dad, Emily started. This is our home. I'm not letting thugs scare us away from it. They're not trying to scare you, Carson said. They're sending a message. Next time, they might not just vandalize equipment. That gave me pause. I looked at Emily, saw the fear in her eyes. All right, I said finally, we'll stay in town tonight. But tomorrow I'm hiring security. Professional security. And we're coming back. Carson nodded. Smart. I'll have a deputy patrol the property every hour until you do. We packed bags quickly. Emily kept apologizing. I kept telling her to stop. By the time we checked into the Hampton Inn on the edge of Salina, it was almost 4 a.m. Emily collapsed onto one of the double beds without even pulling back the covers. I sat in the chair by the window, watching the parking lot, the shotgun propped against the wall beside me. Sleep didn't come. My phone buzzed at 6. Text from Richard. Heard about the incident. I've contacted a security firm I've worked with before. They're sending someone out this morning. Don't go back to the property alone. Then one from Jim. Carson called me. I'm on my way to the farm now to meet the forensics team. I'll keep you posted. You and Emily okay? And one from Thomas Chun. The guys who hit your barn are probably low-level associates trying to earn points. But Hayes, you need to understand something. Derek borrowed money from people who don't forgive debts. They think you cost them their repayment. This won't stop until they're convinced you're not worth the trouble. I read that last one 3 times. Not worth the trouble. What did that mean? How did I make myself not worth the trouble to organize crime? Emily stirred on the bed. What time is it? 6. Go back to sleep. Can't. She sat up, hair tangled, mascara still smudged under her eyes. Are we safe here? For now. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. She was quiet for a moment. Then, you should have just let him have the farm. What? It's land. It's property. It's not worth dying over. You should have signed it over and let him sell it, and maybe then these people would leave us alone. I stared at her. That's not you talking. That's fear. Fear is smart right now. Fear is how they win. I stood up, moved to sit on the edge of her bed. Emily, that farm is 4 generations of our family. It's your grandfather who cleared it with a mule. Your great-grandfather who died defending it during a drought when men came to seize it for unpaid loans. It's every choice I made, every sacrifice, every dream I had for your future. You think I'm going to hand that over to criminals because they vandalized some equipment? They could do worse. Then we'll deal with worse. But we don't give up what's ours because someone threatens us. That's not how Hayes do things. She looked at me with a mixture of respect and frustration. You're stubborn. I'm determined. There's a difference. Feels the same from here. A knock at the door made us both jump. I grabbed the shotgun before checking the peephole. Jim stood there with coffee and a bag from McDonald's. I let him in. He took one look at us and shook his head. You both look like hell. Feel like it too, Emily said. He handed out coffees and breakfast sandwiches. Forensics found some prints at the barn. Running them now. Also found tire tracks from the service road. Looks like 2 vehicles. Carson thinks they were watching the property, waiting for an opportunity. How did they know we were there? Emily asked. How did they even know about the farm? Derek probably told them. I said, part his pitch for why they should lend him money. My father-in-law has millions in property. I'll get access to it. You'll get paid back with interest. When that plan fell apart, they wanted their money back. Jim finished. And if they couldn't get it from Derek, they'd hurt Derek's family to send a message. Emily set down her coffee. I married a man who put my father in danger from the mob. Associates of organized crime. Jim corrected. Technically different. Doesn't feel different. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered cautiously. Hello, Mr. Hayes? A woman's voice. Professional. Clipped. This is Sandra Michaels from Titan Security Solutions. Richard Brennan hired us to assess your situation. I understand you've had threats and property damage. That's right. I'm sending a team to your farm this morning. We'll do a full security audit and implement immediate protective measures. We'll also need to discuss personal security for you and your daughter. Are you available for consultation? We're at the Hampton Inn in Salina. I can be there in 40 minutes. We'll be here. She hung up without saying goodbye. Security firm. I explained to Jim and Emily. Richard hired them. Good, Jim said. You need professionals on this. Emily picked at her sandwich. How much is all this going to cost? The security, the repairs to the barn, the legal fees and the divorce I'm going to have to file. Don't worry about money. Dad, I have to worry about money. I don't have a job anymore. Derek cleaned out our joint account before the wedding. I have maybe $3,000 to my name. Everything else was his or his parents'. I'm 24 and I'm starting over with nothing. You're not starting with nothing. I pulled out my wallet, found a card Richard had given me months ago. You're a beneficiary of a trust that owns 320 acres of prime Kansas farmland worth several $1,000,000. The trust generates income from crop yields and land leases. You'll have a monthly stipend starting immediately. She stared at the card. What? I set it up 3 weeks ago. When I found out about Derek. The farm is yours, Emily. It always was. But it's protected now. Nobody can take it. Not Derek. Not his associates. Not anyone. And it generates enough income to support you while you figure out what you want to do next. Tears filled her eyes. You did that for me? I did that for us. For the family. This farm survives. No matter what. That's the promise I made to my father, and it's the promise I'm making to you. Jim cleared his throat roughly. Damn it, Robert. You're going to make me cry at a Hampton Inn. Sandra Michaels arrived exactly 40 minutes later. She was mid-30s, military-bearing, no nonsense. Sat across from us in the hotel room with a tablet and asked direct questions about threats, patterns, known associates of Derek, our daily routines. Here's what I recommend, she said after 20 minutes. Full perimeter security at the farm. Cameras, motion sensors, reinforced locks. A panic room in the main house. Personal security detail for both of you for at least the next month. After that, we reassess based on threat level. How much? I asked. She named a figure that made Emily wince. Do it, I said. Dad, your safety isn't negotiable. Sandra nodded. My team is already at your property. We'll have basic systems operational by tonight. You can return home this evening if you like, or wait until tomorrow when we're fully implemented. Tonight, I said. Emily looked like she wanted to argue, but didn't. After Sandra left, Emily turned to me. You know we're going to run out of money eventually if this keeps up. Then we'll figure it out. Together. She was quiet for a long moment. Then, I want to help. Help how? With the farm. I don't know anything about farming, but I can learn. I have a business degree. Maybe I can handle the administrative side, the marketing. find new revenue streams. She straightened up, and I saw something in her eyes I hadn't seen in years. Determination. Purpose. Derek wanted to take this from us. I want to make it stronger. I want to prove that we're not victims, that we fight back. And for the first time since that slap echoed through the country club, I felt something like hope. All right, I said, let's fight back. But neither of us knew that the real war was just beginning. We returned to the farm that evening to find it transformed. Titan Security had installed cameras on every corner of the property, motion sensors along the driveway, floodlights that could turn night into day with the flip of a switch. A security specialist named Marcus gave us a tour of the new panic room they'd built in what used to be my office. Reinforced walls, separate phone line, supplies for 72 hours. You're safer here than most banks, Marcus said. Emily walked through the house touching walls like she was making sure it was still real. It feels different. It's necessary, I said. I know. We used to never lock the doors. Remember? You'd leave them open all night in summer for the breeze. Those days felt like they belonged to someone else's life. Jim stayed for dinner. We ordered pizza because nobody had the energy to cook. Sat around the kitchen table like we had 1,000 times before, except now there were cameras watching the driveway and a guard in an SUV parked near the barn. Carson called. Jim said between bites. They identified the vandals from the fingerprints. Low-level guys with connections to a loan operation in Kansas City. FBI is bringing them in for questioning. Will they talk? Emily asked. Depends on what they're more scared of, federal charges or their bosses. My phone buzzed. Text from Agent Morrison. Need to interview Emily tomorrow. 10 a.m. at the field office. She needs a lawyer present. I showed it to Emily. Her face went pale. I didn't do anything wrong. They know that. It's standard procedure. You were married to him, even if it was only for a few hours. They have to ask questions. What if they don't believe me? They will. Jim said firmly, you're a victim here. They know that. But the fear didn't leave her eyes. That night, I couldn't sleep. Laid in bed listening to the house settle. The security system beeping softly every time something triggered a sensor. Mostly deer or coyotes, Marcus had said. The system was sensitive while they calibrated it. At midnight, I gave up and went downstairs to make tea. Found Emily already in the kitchen, sitting in the dark at the table. Can't sleep either? I asked. Every time I close my eyes, I see him. Derek, the way he looked at me when I dropped the rings. Like I was the one who betrayed him. Like I owed him something. I sat down across from her. Some people are so deep in their own lies, they believe them. Derek probably convinced himself he deserved that farm, that he'd earned it somehow. By lying to me? By slapping you? In his mind, yeah. People like that, they rewrite history to make themselves the hero. You're the ungrateful daughter. I'm the stubborn old man. He's a victim of circumstance. Emily traced patterns on the table with her finger. His mom called me today. I went still. What? She left 3 voicemails, saying Derek's being railroaded, that you planted evidence, that I'm throwing away my marriage over a misunderstanding. She looked up at me. She said I should visit him. Stand by him. That's what a good wife does. You're not his wife anymore. Legally, I still am, until the divorce is final. Then we'll make sure it's final fast. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said something else. Said Derek's associates are very upset, that they feel they've been wronged. She said it would be better for everyone if we found a way to make this right. A chill went down my spine. That sounded like a threat. It was dressed up in concern and fake sympathy, but it was a threat. Emily's hands were shaking. Dad, are we ever going to be safe again? I didn't have a good answer for that. The next morning, we drove into Kansas City for Emily's interview. Richard met us at the federal building, along with criminal defense attorney named Sarah Chun, no relation to Thomas, apparently, though it took me a minute to confirm that. Don't volunteer information, Sarah told Emily in the lobby. Answer what they ask. Be honest, but don't elaborate unless necessary. Emily nodded, looking small and scared. The interview lasted 2 hours. I waited in the lobby with Richard, drinking bad coffee and watching CNN on mute. Every 15 minutes or so, a new anxiety would hit me. What if they thought Emily knew more than she did? What if Derek had somehow involved her in his schemes without her knowledge? What if— Stop catastrophizing, Richard said calmly. She's clean. They know she's clean. This is formality. When Emily emerged, she looked exhausted but relieved. They were actually nice. They said I was helpful, that my timeline of events matched what they already knew. Sarah nodded. They're satisfied she had no involvement. She's clear. In the parking garage, Emily stopped walking, just stood there between the cars, breathing hard. I thought I was going to jail, she said. The whole time, part of me thought they were going to arrest me, that I'd somehow become part of his crimes without knowing it. You're not, I said. You're free of this. Am I? She gestured vaguely. We have armed guards at the farm. You can't go anywhere without looking over your shoulder. Derek's mob friends are threatening us. His mother's calling me. The wedding is viral news. People at my old job are probably talking about me. My friends haven't called. My life is destroyed. Your life is changing. I corrected. That's different. Feels destroyed. We drove home in silence. When we pulled up to the farm, there was a strange car in the driveway. Emily tensed, but I recognized it. Martha got out, looking uncertain. I tried calling. You didn't answer. We were at the FBI office, Emily said flatly. I know. I saw the news. Martha approached carefully. Emily, honey, I'm so sorry. About all of this. About not seeing Derek for what he was. About not supporting you better. You supported me fine. I was the one who didn't listen. No. Martha shook her head. I encouraged you to marry him. I thought he was ambitious and successful. I thought he'd give you the life I never had. I was wrong. I'm so wrong. Emily softened a little. It's not your fault, Mom. I'm staying in town for a while, at the Holiday Inn, until things settle down. I want to be close in case you need me. I caught Martha's eye over Emily's head. She looked scared. For our daughter. For all of us. Thank you, I said. Robert. She hesitated. I know we haven't always seen eye to eye, especially after the divorce. But what you did, protecting Emily, setting up that trust, hiring investigators, that took foresight and courage. I'm sorry I ever doubted you. You were protecting her too, in your own way. My way almost got her permanently attached to a criminal. Fair point. Martha left after making Emily promise to call if she needed anything. We went inside to find Marcus waiting with an update. Derek's associates made bail. He said without preamble. What? Emily's voice went shrill. How? Agent Morrison said, organized crime has resources. Good lawyers. They posted bail this morning. They're out pending trial. So they're just free to come after us? They have conditions, ankle monitors, travel restrictions. But yes, technically they're free. Marcus's expression was grim, which is why my team is staying on site until further notice. That night, sleeping was impossible. Every sound felt like a threat. The house creaking, wind in the trees, an owl hunting in the back 40. At 3 a.m., every light on the property suddenly blazed alive. The alarm system shrieked. I grabbed a shotgun and ran downstairs. Emily was already there, phone in hand, calling 911. Through the window, I could see figures running toward the tree line. 3 of them. Marcus and his team were in pursuit, but the intruders had a head start. Sheriff's deputies arrived within minutes. They found where the intruders had cut through the fence on the eastern property line. Found footprints leading to and from a service road half a mile away. No faces on camera. They'd worn masks. But they'd left something. A dead crow nailed to the barn door. A note attached. Last warning. Deputy Carson bagged it as evidence. His face grave. This is escalating. These aren't just threats anymore. They're promises. What do you suggest I do? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Leave? Hide? Give them whatever they want. I suggest you take this to the FBI. This is beyond local jurisdiction. Agent Morrison arrived before sunrise, looked at the evidence, talked to Marcus and his team, then pulled me aside. Here's the situation, she said. Derek's associates believe you cost them a significant investment. In their world, that means you owe them. They're not going to stop until they feel they've been compensated or until we can charge them with something that sticks. Right now we have vandalism, maybe trespassing. That's not enough to violate their bail. So what? We wait until they hurt someone. We build a case. We document everything, every threat, every incident. We make it airtight so when we move, they stay moved. She paused. But, Mr. Hayes, I have to be honest. This could take months. Are you prepared for months of this? I looked back at the house, at Emily watching from the window, her face pale in the dawn light. I don't have a choice. You do. You could relocate, sell the property, start over somewhere else where these people can't find you. No, Mr. Hayes. No, this is our home. This is 4 generations of my family. I'm not letting criminals chase me off my own land. We stay. We fight. We win. Morrison studied me for a long moment, then nodded. All right, then we do this the hard way. The hard way turned out to be a nightmare. Over the next week, the incidents continued. Someone cut our water line, vandalized the mailbox, shot out windows in the barn, windows we just replaced. Each time, the perpetrators wore masks. Each time, they escaped before anyone could catch them. Emily stopped sleeping, lost weight, jumped at every sound. We can't live like this, she said one morning, dark circles under her eyes. Dad, this isn't living. This is just surviving. Barely. What do you want me to do? I don't know. Something. Anything. She was crying now. Maybe Morrison's right. Maybe we should just go. Start over somewhere else. Let them have the stupid farm if they want it so badly. They don't want the farm. They want to hurt us. If we run, we're just teaching them that terror works. I don't care about teaching them anything. I care about not getting killed. We stared at each other across the kitchen table, the gap between us suddenly feeling impossible to bridge. Jim showed up later that afternoon, without calling first, took one look at us and swore. This is bad, he said. Thanks for the insight, I said tiredly. No, I mean really bad. You both look like ghosts. This house feels like a prison. Something's got to change. Working on it. Work faster. He sat down heavily. Because I just heard something. Someone's been asking around town about the farm. About you. Specifically about your routine. When you leave. Where you go. Who visits. My blood went cold. Who's asking? Guy I don't recognize. City clothes. Asking questions at the feed store, the diner, the gas station. Try and be casual about it, but everyone noticed. Did anyone answer him? Old P at the feed store told him to get lost. But, Dad, people talk. This is a small town. If someone wants information, they'll get it eventually. Emily stood up abruptly. I can't do this. I can't sit here waiting for something terrible to happen. I'm going crazy. Where are you going? I asked. For a drive. Away from here. Just for an hour. I need to think. Take Marcus with you. I need to be alone. Emily. But she was already grabbing her keys and heading for the door. I started to follow, but Jim caught my arm. Let her go. She needs space. It's not safe. She's got her phone. The roads around here are safe enough during daylight. She'll be fine. I watched through the window as Emily got in her car, an old Honda I'd helped her buy when she was 17, the only thing from her pre-Derek life that she kept, and drove away. Something in my gut twisted. I have a bad feeling, I said. You've had a bad feeling for 2 weeks. Can't live your life on bad feelings. But 30 minutes later, when Emily's phone went straight to voicemail, the bad feeling got worse. An hour after that, when she still hadn't returned, it became certainty. Call her again, Jim said, pacing. I did. Voicemail. Maybe she's out of range. There's self-service everywhere around here. Maybe her battery died. Jim, stop. I called Marcus. He sent his team out searching the roads Emily might have taken. Called Carson. He put out an alert for her vehicle. 2 hours after Emily left, a patrol car found her Honda on a service road near the old Dennison farm. Engine running. Driver's door open. No sign of Emily. They'd taken her. And in that moment, I knew exactly what I had to do. The FBI turned the search into a full operation within 30 minutes. Roadblocks. Helicopters. K-9 units. Agent Morrison's face was grim as she coordinated teams from a mobile command center they'd set up in my driveway. "This is now a kidnapping investigation," she said. "Federal crime. We're treating it as life-threatening. Mr. Hayes, I need you to think. Did Emily mention where she was going? Any specific place?" "No. She just said she needed to drive. To think. Any favorite spots? Places she went when she was upset?" "There's an overlook about 5 miles west. She used to go there in high school, but we already checked there." Martha arrived hysterical, having heard about Emily's disappearance from one of the deputies. "This is your fault," she screamed at me. "You should have just given them what they wanted. You should have protected her." "I tried." "You tried? My daughter is missing. Taken by criminals. Because you were too stubborn to give up some dirt." Jim pulled her away before I could respond. But her words echoed because part of me believed them. I should have done something different. Made different choices. Found another way. My phone rang. Unknown number. Morrison snapped to attention. "Don't answer it yet. We need to set up a trace." 30 seconds later, with Morrison and 2 other agents listening on equipment they brought, I answered. "Hello?" A electronically distorted voice came through. "Mr. Hayes, you have something we want. We have something you want. Let's make a trade. If you hurt her..." "Nobody wants to hurt anyone. We just want what's ours. Derek owed us $200,000. You cost us that money. We want it back." "I don't have $200,000 in cash." "Then sell something. You have a farm worth millions. Liquidate. You have 24 hours. "I can't sell property in 24 hours. That's impossible." "Then get a loan. Figure it out. You're a smart man. Resourceful. 24 hours. We'll call with instructions." The voice paused. "Your daughter says hello. She wants you to know she's not hurt. Yet, keep it that way by cooperating." The line went dead. Morrison immediately started coordinating with her tech team. We got a general area. Cell tower triangulation puts them somewhere in a 15-mile radius northeast of here. We're narrowing it down. 24 hours, I said numbly. They want $200,000 in 24 hours. "You're not paying ransom," Morrison said firmly. "That's not how this works. We find her. We get her back. Then we lock these bastards up for life. And if you don't find her in time..." She didn't answer. Richard arrived with Sarah Chun. They immediately started working on options. Loans. Asset liquidation. Ways to actually get that much money if we needed to. "It's possible," Richard said. "We could take a loan against the farm. Emergency terms. Some lenders would do it given the circumstances. But Robert, Agent Morrison, is right. Paying ransom doesn't guarantee Emily's safety. Often it makes things worse. Often isn't always." Jim sat beside me, his hand on my shoulder. "What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking my daughter is somewhere scared and alone because I was too proud to back down. You were protecting what's yours, protecting her inheritance. What good is an inheritance if she doesn't survive to inherit it?" My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. "Check your email." I opened my email on my phone. A new message. No subject line. I clicked it. A video file. My hands shook as I downloaded it. Morrison leaned over to watch. The video showed Emily in what looked like an empty warehouse. She was tied to a chair, tape across her mouth, but unharmed. She was crying. Behind her, a figure in a mask held up a newspaper with today's date. Then the masked figure spoke, voice distorted. 24 hours, Mr. Hayes. Don't make us send another video. The next one won't be so pleasant. The video ended. Martha collapsed. Jim caught her. Morrison was already on her radio calling in the new evidence. I stare at my daughter's terrified face frozen on my phone screen, and something inside me shifted. Hardin, I need make a call, I said. Hayes, don't do anything stupid, Morrison warned. But I was already dialing a number I'd saved but hoped never to use. Thomas Chin answered on the second ring. Hayes, I heard about your daughter. I'm sorry. I need help. Different kind of help than before. What kind? The kind that finds people who don't want to be found. Fast. There was a pause. I don't do that kind of work anymore. I'm an investigator, not a tracker. But I know someone who does. He's expensive. And he doesn't ask questions about what you do with the information he provides. Put me in touch. Hayes! Think about this. The FBI is involved. They have resources I can't match. Let them. They have 24 hours to find my daughter before these people hurt her. I'm not willing to wait 23 hours and 59 minutes to find out if they succeed. I need another option. Now. Another pause. All right, I'll send you a contact. But Hayes, this person operates outside normal channels. Once you go down this road, there's no coming back. Then I'll live with that. The contact came through 15 minutes later. A name, Wade Garrett. A phone number. I went outside to make the call, away from Morrison and her team. Wade answered with no greeting. Who's this? Thomas Chun gave me your number. My daughter was kidnapped. I need help finding her. FBI involved? Yes. They're tracing this call right now, you know. I don't care. A dry laugh. Fair enough. Tell me what you know. I gave him everything. The ransom demand. The video. The cell tower location. The connection to Derek and his criminal associates. I can have a location within 12 hours. Wade said, maybe less, but it's going to cost you. How much? 50,000. I didn't hesitate. Done. Wire transfer. I'll send details. Once I have the money, I start work. Once I have a location, I send it to you. What you do with it is your business. What if the location is wrong? It won't be. I don't do wrong. He hung up. I went back inside. Morrison was organizing search teams. Martha was being sedated by a paramedic. Jim was talking to deputies. Richard was on his phone with someone about emergency loans. Nobody noticed me slip away to my office. The wire transfer took 10 minutes to set up. $50,000 from the farm's operating account to account number Wade had sent. Money I'd saved for equipment repairs. For seed. For Emily's future. Now it was buying something else. A chance. I hit send. My phone rang immediately. Wade. Got it. I'm moving. Stay by your phone. 6 hours passed. The longest 6 hours of my life. Morrison's team searched every abandoned building in the northeast sector. Found nothing. The K-9 units lost a scent at a creek bed. The helicopters saw nothing unusual. Martha lay on the couch, sedated and sleeping. Jim made coffee nobody drank. Richard and Sarah worked on financial contingencies in case we had to pay the ransom. My phone had been silent for 4 hours when it finally buzzed. Text from Wade, 1847, Industrial Park Road. Abandoned meat packing plant. 3 vehicles outside. 5 to 7 individuals inside. Your package is on the 2nd floor, northwest corner. Security is light, but armed. Go time is your call. I stared at the message. I had a location. Now I had a choice. Tell Morrison and let the FBI handle it. Standard protocol. Safe. By the book. Or, I looked at the clock. 18 hours since Emily was taken. 6 hours until the ransom deadline. 6 hours for the FBI to organize, plan, execute a rescue operation. 6 hours for something to go wrong. I made my choice. I forwarded the address to Morrison with a simple message. Reliable source. Emily's here. Going now. Then I grabbed my shotgun and headed for the door. Where are you going? Jim caught my arm. To get my daughter Robert, no. Let the FBI. They'll spend an hour planning. Another hour getting teams in position. Another hour negotiating. I don't have 3 hours. You'll get yourself killed. You'll get Emily killed. Or I'll get her back. I met his eyes. You coming? He hesitated for exactly 2 seconds. Then, I'll get my rifle. Marcus appeared from the security station. You're not doing this without me. My team's already gearing up. Morrison came running from the command center. Hayes, you do not go charging into a hostage situation. That's not how this works. Then work faster. We need time to plan, to organize, to ensure Emily's safety. You have the address. Send your teams. But I'm not waiting. I pushed past her. Hayes! Her voice was furious. If you interfere with a federal operation, I will arrest you. Then you better catch me first. Jim and I got in his truck. Marcus and 2 of his security team followed in their SUV. We had guns, adrenaline, and desperation. The FBI had procedures. I was betting on desperation. Industrial Park Road was 23 miles away, on the outskirts of a dying town called Morton's Creek. The meatpacking plant had been abandoned for a decade, a rusting hulk surrounded by overgrown parking lots and broken fences. We parked a quarter mile away and approached on foot. Marcus had night vision goggles. Jim had his hunting rifle and 40 years of shooting experience. I had my shotgun in a father's rage. The building loomed against the darkening sky. 3 vehicles outside, just like Wade said, lights on in the second-floor windows. Marcus scanned with the night vision. I count 4 guards. 2 on the ground floor. 2 upstairs. All armed. Where's Emily? Northwest corner, second floor. 1 person with her. He lowered the goggles. Hayes, we need to wait for backup. This is suicide. You can wait. I'm going in. I started forward, but Jim grabbed me. We do this smart. Not heroic. Smart. He was right. I knew he was right. But every instinct screamed at me to run in there, shotgun blazing, and take my daughter back. How? I asked. Marcus thought fast. Distraction. We draw the guards out front. You go in the back. Get to Emily. Get her out. We provide cover. What kind of distraction? He smiled grimly. The kind that makes a lot of noise. 5 minutes later, Marcus and his team opened fire on the front entrance. Not to kill, just to draw attention. The guards inside responded immediately, rushing to the front, returning fire. Jim, and I slip around back. The rear entrance was chained but rusted. 1 good kick, and it gave way. Inside, the plant was a maze of abandoned equipment. Hooks hanging from ceiling rails. The smell of old blood and decay everywhere. We moved fast and quiet toward the stairs. A guard appeared from a doorway. Young kid. Couldn't have been more than 20, looking scared. His gun was barely raised before Jim had his rifle on him. Don't, Jim said softly. The kid dropped his gun. How many upstairs? I asked. 2, maybe 3. I don't know. They don't tell me things. The girl, she okay? Yeah, they're not supposed to hurt her. Boss said she's leveraged, not a target. Your boss is going to prison. You can too, or you can walk away right now. Your choice. He walked. We climbed the stairs, every creak sounding like a gunshot. More shooting from the front. Shouting. Chaos. The second floor was offices and break rooms, all gutted and empty. Northwest corner. We moved fast. Through a cracked door, I saw her. Emily, still tied to the chair. 1 guard with her, talking on a phone, agitated. No, they're here. Someone's attacking. We need to move her now. Jim and I shared a look. On 3. 1, 2, 3. We burst through the door. The guard spun, reaching for his gun. Jim shot first, not to kill but to disarm. The bullet took the guard in the shoulder, spun him around. His gun clattered away. I was already moving to Emily, pulling the tape from her mouth, working at the ropes. Dad. Her voice was raw. Dad, you came. Always, baby girl. Always. The ropes came free. She collapsed into my arms, sobbing. "We need to move," Jim said, keeping his rifle on the wounded guard. "Now." We half-carried Emily toward the stairs. Behind us, more shouting, footsteps pounding. Someone had noticed a distraction was just that, a distraction. We made it down the stairs, through the maze of abandoned equipment. The back door was 30 feet away. 20 feet. 10. A shot rang out. Something slammed into my shoulder, spinning me around. Pain exploded through my arm. The shotgun fell from my grip. "Dad!" Emily screamed. Jim returned fire, providing cover. Marcus and his team burst to the back entrance. Weapons up. "Go!" Marcus shouted. "Get them out." Jim dragged me toward the door. Emily grabbed my good arm. Together, they pulled me outside into the night air. Behind us, more gunfire. Sirens in the distance. The FBI finally arriving. We made it to the truck. Jim floored it, tires screaming. In the rear-view mirror, I saw FBI vehicles converging on the plant, lights blazing. "Hospital," Emily said. "Dad needs a hospital." "I'm fine." "You're shot." "Just a graze." It wasn't. It was through and through, bleeding badly. But Emily was safe. That's all that mattered. Jim drove to the hospital in Morton's Creek. Small place, but they had an ER. A doctor who'd seen gunshot wounds before. They took me back immediately. Emily refused to leave my side while they worked on me. Held my good hand. Cried and apologized and thanked me all at once. "Stop apologizing," I said, my voice slurred from pain meds. "You didn't do anything wrong." I drove off alone. I put myself in danger. You were trying to cope with an impossible situation. That's human. That's allowed. The doctor finished stitching. "You're lucky." Another inch to the left, and it would have hit an artery. You'd have bled out. I didn't feel lucky. I felt tired. Agent Morrison arrived 30 minutes later. Her face was a storm of emotions, relief, anger, frustration. "You absolute idiot," she said to me. "You interfered with a federal operation. You endangered a hostage. You could have gotten your daughter killed. But I didn't." "That's not the point." "That's exactly the point. Emily's safe. That's all that matters." Morrison opened her mouth to argue, then closed it, took a breath. "We arrested 6 individuals at the plant, including 2 of Derek's primary associates. We found evidence of additional crimes. Drug trafficking, money laundering. This is bigger than we thought. Your daughter's testimony and the evidence from tonight will help us dismantle an entire operation." "Good. But Hayes," she fixed me with a hard stare, "you're incredibly lucky I don't arrest you right now. What you did was reckless and illegal. Would you have found her in time?" "We'll never know, because you didn't let us try." "Fair point." She left, still angry but with Emily safe. I couldn't bring myself to care about her opinion. Jim drove us home as dawn broke. The farm looked peaceful in the early light. The security cameras and guards the only evidence of the nightmare we'd been living. Martha met us at the door, having heard from Morrison. She hugged Emily for 5 straight minutes, crying into her hair. Then, surprisingly, she hugged me. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for bringing her back. I'd lost a lot of blood. Needed rest. But standing there in my driveway with my daughter safe beside me, I'd never felt more awake." Emily looked up at me. "I'm never leaving this farm again." "You will, eventually, when you're ready, when it's safe." "When will it be safe?" I thought about that. About Derek in federal custody. About his associates arrested. About the empire Morrison said they were dismantling. "Soon," I said. "Very soon." But I was wrong. Because 3 days later, as I was recovering and Emily was starting to sleep through the night again, Richard called with news that changed everything. "Derek made a deal," he said. "Full cooperation in exchange for reduced sentence. He's giving them everyone. Every name. Every crime. Every detail." That's good, right? It would be, except one of the people he named is very powerful. Someone who doesn't appreciate being exposed. Someone with resources that make his previous associates look like amateurs. My stomach dropped. How bad? We need to meet. All of us. Tonight. This just got significantly more complicated. I looked at Emily, sleeping peacefully on the couch for the first time in days. At the farm I'd fought so hard to protect. At the life I thought I was saving. And I realized the real fight hadn't even started yet. Because the person Derek had given up wasn't just another criminal. It was someone I knew, someone I trusted. And when I found out who it was, every piece of this nightmare finally made terrible, perfect sense.